up, YouTube? I'm gonna cut right to the chase. Today's video is going to be a counting macros slash calories slash tracking progress slash weight loss slash everything you've ever wanted to know about fitness stuff. Q&A. Actually, it's more of like an FAQ because they didn't actually ask for questions. I'm actually just taking the questions that I get the most from my online training clients. If you guys don't know, I'm an NASM certified personal trainer. I've been an online personal trainer for almost 2.5 years now. Before that, I worked in a gym for over a year. So I've been doing the fitness thing for a very long time. I started tracking macros and counting calories back in 2013. Not like every day since then, but like that's when I started. And I've done tons and tons and tons of research about this subject, so I kind of know what I'm talking about. I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not any of those people who really have the right to be talking about diet and stuff like that, but I'm still gonna give you what I have learned as your friend, as someone who cares about you and who is sick of answering these questions. So let's jump right in. The first question I have is, what are macros? So macros is short for macronutrients, which is carbohydrates, fat, and protein. These are the three components that make up our food. The whole popularity over macros nowadays in the dieting world is a method of dieting where people track their macros in order to reach certain physique or performance goals. So when you hear people say that they track macros, that's what that means. That's basically all I'm gonna say about that. You can Google what are macros. How do I keep track of macros? The easiest thing to do is to use an app such as MyFitnessPal. You just type in the foods that you ate and it allows you to enter in the quantity of that food that you ate, and it just keeps a track of your calories and your macronutrients for you so that you can easily keep track of where you are. I do have some clients that do like an Excel spreadsheet or write it down. That's going to take you approximately 400 times the amount of time that it takes to just type in Apple into MyFitnessPal, enter the quantity, and now it's tracked. There are other apps other than MyFitnessPal, but I don't use them. I use MyFitnessPal, so. Why track macros over just tracking calories? So carbs, fat, and protein all play a different role in your body, and the purpose of tracking macros and having macronutrient goals is to kind of feed your body to the best of its ability to get to a certain physique goal or performance goal. If you're just eating random calories, you may end up with loads of fat in your diet, or not enough carbs in your diet, or not enough protein in your diet, in the sense of what your body would require to reach certain physique goals. So by tracking macros, you can kind of make sure that your body's getting kind of the best like nutritional profile in order to perform the best in the gym, feel your best energy-wise, and not be overdoing any kind of food that might be slowing you down in your weight loss progress. There's a difference between consuming 900 calories of pure fat and 900 calories of carbs, fat, and protein. You get what I'm saying? Not all calories are necessarily made equal because carbs, fat, and protein all do different things in the body and are utilized differently by the body. So that's why people track macros instead of just tracking calories. It's just to have that like finite, pointed nutritional profile to best reach their physique or performance goals. At least that's usually it. Is tracking just calories okay? Of course, as long as you aren't eating in an extremely imbalanced way, such as no fat or no carbs. Although there are people who believe in no fat and people who believe in no carbs, and this video is not about you. But basically, as long as you are having a balanced amount of fat, carbs, and protein in general, you're fine tracking just calories. You can still lose weight or gain weight or whatever it is that you want to do. You might have like a 5% less amazing result than if you had tracked macros, but at the end of the day, if you're eating less calories than you're burning, you're gonna lose weight. If you're eating more calories than you're burning, you're gonna gain weight, no matter what the macronutrient split is. Why do so many macro tracking people eat so much protein, and slash, can I have lower protein? So if you've ever calculated out your macros on like a If It Fits Your Macros website or whatever, you may have been told that you're supposed to be eating like between 120 to 160 grams of protein. For the average person, they're not eating anywhere near that much. So if you go from having just like your normal typical American diet to a If It Fits Your Macro type of diet, you may find that you're eating way more protein than you're used to. And there is a reason for that. People who have certain physique goals, especially related to building muscle, increase their protein because it makes it a little bit easier for your body to build and retain muscle when you have more protein in your body, because protein is a tissue builder. So a diet higher in protein is going to give you what you need to build that muscle, especially if you're kind of a hard gainer and it's hard for you to put on weight. Can I do lower protein? Sure, the macro police are not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna stop you. But if you are a person who's trying to gain significant amount of muscle, it's gonna be really, really hard for you to do that without a decent protein intake. I like to say 1 gram of protein per lean body mass. So it doesn't have to be as high as most people think. So like for me, I'm like around 150-ish pounds. I usually aim for like 120-ish grams of protein because that's about how much lean body mass I actually have. But yeah, if you're not looking to put on significant muscle, I wouldn't necessarily worry about having super high protein. How do I eat more protein? This is like my #1 question ever that people ask me. So say you are a person who's trying to add more muscle to your body, and so you're trying to eat more protein, but you keep falling short. You only hit 70 grams a day or 80 grams a day, and you're just like, how do I eat more protein? The first thing I say is, okay, look at your meals. What do you have for breakfast? And a lot of times people will be like, a bagel. Well, there's your first problem. There's hardly any protein in a bagel. You want to start your day with a decent amount of protein. Basically, how you should be looking at it is, how many meals do you have in a day? Say you have 4 meals a day. So divide your protein goal by 4. Let's say your protein goal is 120 grams a day, then you should be having 30 grams of protein in each meal. If you go and have a bagel for breakfast, that means you're only leaving 3 meals left to hit that 120 grams of protein goal, which now means that each of your meals is gonna have to have 40 grams of protein. Now say for lunch you have something and it only has 15 grams of protein in it. Now you're really screwed because you have like 105 grams of protein left that you have to get in just 2 meals. That's not gonna happen unless you're literally just drinking egg whites from the carton, which I don't recommend. Trust me. So basically, figure out how much protein you're having in a day, divide it by the amount of meals or snacks that you're going to have, and that kind of gives you a goal for each meal of how much protein you should be hitting. Also, if you are eating protein in each meal, but it's just not enough, just increase the amount of protein. So say you have eggs for breakfast, well, add some egg whites to that. That'll bump up the protein content. Say you're having 4 ounces of chicken with your dinner, bump it up to 6 ounces of chicken. That's going to increase the protein in your diet without necessarily having to add in new sources of protein. So that's how you eat more protein. Fit a decent amount into every meal. You're done. How do I make sure I actually hit my macros? I get this question a lot because a lot of times we're just going throughout our day, eating what we feel like eating, tracking it, and then getting to the end of the day and being like, I'm way over my fat, I'm way under my carbs, and I'm not even anywhere close to my protein. Uh-oh, what do I do? Or we get to the end of the day and we're like, all I have left is 47 grams of protein and no fat and no carbs. What am I supposed to eat now? The best way to avoid this is to plan a whole day's worth of meals ahead of time. So if you're trying to track macros on Monday, plan your whole day of eating on Sunday. Enter in all the stuff that you think you want to eat, and from there it's so much easier to kind of like decrease a carb amount or increase a protein amount ahead of time so that the next day you're all set to go, as opposed to like just going throughout your day and every time you get hungry trying to figure out what's gonna fit your protein and your carbs and all of that. Just plan ahead. Planning ahead is the easiest way to make sure you actually reach your goals. If you're new to tracking macros, it might take a little bit of time because you're not really familiar with what carbs, fat, and protein are in the foods that you like to eat, but if you're a person who generally eats the same 15 to 20 things, which most of us are, you'll learn pretty quickly how much fat, carbs, and protein is in the foods that you eat, and you'll start forming meals that make sense, like meals that are high enough in protein, the right amount of carbs and fat, etc., etc. Plus, you watch YouTube and there's about 1,000 full days of eating on YouTube. Just copy somebody else's meals. You know what I'm saying? Just do it. How do you know what macros/calories your body needs? The best answer I can say, other than to hire me and let me tell you, is trial and error. There are general calorie levels that you can probably figure out for yourself based on your height, how much exercise you do, your age, etc. But what levels are actually gonna work for you for whatever your goal is gonna be really trial and error. And the best way to find that out is to just pick a calorie level that is like healthy. For women, it's gonna probably be above 1,400 calories. For men, it's gonna probably be above 1,800. I really don't like to see people of either genders go below those levels, but pick a calorie level, pick a macronutrient split that seems to make sense, and try it out for a couple of weeks. You gotta be consistent for a couple of weeks to see how you feel, to see how your body responds, and if you get your desired result after a couple of weeks, then hey, you're probably in a good place. If you find yourself feeling super duper hungry, or you're losing weight too fast, or you didn't lose any weight, or you're feeling tired, chances are you just need to play with your macronutrient levels, or you need to increase calories or decrease calories just based on those factors. That's where the help of a coach really comes into play, because you can tell me your symptoms and I kind of know right off the bat what your body's probably asking for. But as like a little cheat sheet, I can kind of say if you're super duper hungry, either calories are a little bit too low or fat is a little bit too low. If you're feeling like lethargic and don't have enough energy, carbs may be too low, or again, calories may be too low, or carbs might be way too high. Sometimes having so much extra carbs and sugar in your body kind of bogs people down too, so If you're losing weight really fast, obviously calories are too low. If you're not losing weight at all, then calories might be too high. So that's kind of like a cheat sheet for you. But at the end of the day, trial and error is going to be the best way to figure out what calories and macronutrient split is right for you. How do I eat out and stay on track? The easiest way to eat out and stay on track is either to A, look up the nutritional profiles for the food at the restaurant you're going to. Most chain restaurants have their like nutritional information on their website. So before you go out to eat, if you know where you're going out to eat, look up the macros of the foods on their website and just pick one that fits into your diet. If you're going to a place that doesn't have that, or if you're going like last second and you don't have time to look up the macros of the food, I always say just order something simple. Chicken or steak or grilled fish, a starch like rice or potatoes, and a green veggie like asparagus or broccoli. If you want to get really fancy, you can ask them to not cook it in any oil or butter. That way they'll just kind of steam the meal so you don't have to guesstimate any extra added fats, like secret fats that you can't see because they're cooked into the meat or the vegetables. But basically, I usually will just order something kind of simple like a steak and a side of veggies, just so that I can easily eyeball what I'm eating and track it kind of easily that way. I mean, if you go to a restaurant and you're just like, I don't know, I'm just gonna order this sandwich. I mean, you don't know what the calories for the bread is. You don't know how many calories are in the sauce that they use. It could be 50 or it could be 200. You don't know how much cheese they use. Like there's so many elements of like so many dishes, or like a pasta dish. There's so many elements that it's really hard to try and like figure out the ingredients and how to track that. So I always say if you are trying to track macros strictly, just keep it simple. A meat, a starch, a veggie, bada bing, bada boom, you're good. What's the right time and way to weigh myself? People don't actually ask me this that much, but I find that people weigh themselves the incorrect way all the time. So I just want to tell you really quick. The only weight that's actually accurate is when you step on the scale first thing in the morning with no clothes on, after having gone to the bathroom, if you have to go to the bathroom. That is your only true weight. If you step on the scale in the afternoon at the gym, that's not your true weight because you've had food and drink into your system. So for consistency's sake, always weigh first thing in the morning, no clothes, after going to the bathroom, before eating or drinking anything. Also, little known fact that people don't seem to know, if you put your scale in different parts of the house or on different floors in your house, it will read something different. I don't know why. I can honestly admit I don't know the science of this, but it's true. So when you weigh yourself on hard floor, like tile or wood or whatever, not carpet, and in the same place on the floor if you can. So like just basically don't drag your scale all around the house because you'll get a different weight. I used to weigh myself in both the bathroom and the kitchen, wherever I felt like weighing myself, and I would always get two different readings, and I didn't realize it for a while, and I was always like, why is my weight fluctuating so much, until I realized, oh, it changes depending on where you are in the house. I don't know why. So put your scale in one place in the house, only weigh yourself there first thing in the morning, after going to the bathroom with no clothes on, before eating or drinking. Thank you. Also, it helps if you can weigh yourself at similar times of the day. I know we all wake up at different times, like on the weekday versus the weekend, but if you weigh yourself at 5 in the morning and then you go back to sleep and you weigh yourself at 9 in the morning, you're gonna usually weigh less at 9 a.m. than you did at 5 a.m. Even if you don't go to the bathroom, don't eat or drink anything, don't do anything, just the more sleep that you get, the lighter you tend to be when you step on the scale. So if you weigh yourself at 5 a.m. on Monday, and weigh one thing, and then you weigh yourself at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, you're gonna probably be lighter on Tuesday just because you're weighing yourself later in the morning. So just keep that in mind. A lot of times during the week, we'll weigh a little bit more because we take our weights earlier in the day because we're getting up for work and stuff, and then on the weekends, we sleep in till 9 or 10, and we'll step on the scale at 10 o'clock and be like, ooh, I weigh so much less. The time in the morning seems to affect your weights, and how much sleep you got affects your weight. If you only got 3 or 4 hours of sleep, your weight's gonna be really high because your body didn't have enough time to like do its thing in your sleep, versus if you get like 9 or 10 hours of sleep, you're gonna have a little bit of a lower weight on the scale the next morning. It's just science. I love it. I don't know. How do I track produce that doesn't come in a package? So people ask me all the time, how do I track like an apple? It doesn't have like a package that I can just scan into MyFitnessPal. How do I track it? And if you look up just apple in MyFitnessPal, there's like 1,000 listings, and some of them are 80 calories, some of them are 150, some of them have 15 grams of carbs, some of them have 25 grams of carbs. The best thing I found to do for that is to search the produce name that you're looking for, like apple, with the acronym USDA, which stands for the US Department of Agriculture. It's going to usually bring up the most accurate listing for calories, and it's going to usually let you enter in how many grams of that produce you ate, as opposed to like a cup of berries. You could enter in 100 grams of berries, which is just more accurate. So that's always what I go with when it comes to entering in produce. And I think you can check the USDA website, and they have like the official listing of what the calories are for every kind of produce. Should I still eat all of my macros / calories if I'm not hungry? Maybe. I always say for my clients who are working with me, at least in the first couple of weeks of working together, Yes, eat all your calories even if you're not hungry, because I need to see how your body responds to the same amount of calories consistently every day in order for me to learn your body and its system and like what it wants from me and like where to take your diet next in order to achieve your goals. So if you're working with a coach or you're in like that trial phase of like trying out a set of macros for a few weeks, yes, eat your calories every single day, eat your macros, all of them, even if you're not hungry, just so that you can see how your body responds on that level of macros or calories. Once you know your body really well and you know what levels you should be at, if you have a day where you don't have a huge appetite and you undereat a little bit, it's not the end of the world. I just generally say you can't always trust your appetite. A lot of times your body will not have an appetite, and it's not because you don't need food, it's because your body just doesn't have an appetite for some reason. Like I noticed for myself, if I run like 5 or 6 miles, which for me takes me like more than an hour, and I literally usually burn like 800 calories doing that, then I will find that I will not have an appetite that day. Like that just takes so much out of me that I don't have an appetite. But I burned 800 calories in the hot sun running outside where I sweat out a bunch, so I know my body needs more food. Like the days that I run is when I need the most calories. So even though I don't have an appetite, I need to eat because I know my body needs that. So even though my body is telling me I'm not hungry, I know it's wrong. You can't always trust your appetite. You can't always trust your hunger cues. If you have some sort of physique or performance related goal, just eat the amount of food you know you're supposed to eat whether you're hungry or not. If you don't have a physique or performance related goal, then eat whatever you want. I don't care. It's not a big deal. Just don't undereat. That's all I ask. What do I do if I have an abundance of one macro at the end of the day? So I get this all the time. My clients will text me and be like, all right, well, I have no fat left, no protein left. I just have like 40 grams of carbs left. What do I do? Which is a valid question because most foods have a combination of carbs, fat, and protein. It's very hard to find foods that are just carbs, just protein, or just fat. Which, another little cheat sheet, things that are pretty much just fat is gonna be butter and oils, like olive oil, avocado oil. Things that are going to be pretty much just carbs is going to be fruit, starchy veggies, pasta, rice. Those things are mainly just carbs. Things that are going to be mainly just protein is egg whites, lean meats like chicken or white fish, many protein powders. So if you're ever in a bind where you only have like 40 grams of carbs left, then just have like a bunch of berries. It'll be pretty much just carbs and you're fine. Or if you just have like 30 grams of protein left, then just have a protein shake. It's not gonna really add to your carb or fat content, it's just gonna give you the protein you need. But sometimes my clients get to the end of the day and they're like, all I have left is 60 grams of protein and I don't wanna drink a carton of egg whites. So at that point I'll say, okay, how many calories is 60 grams of protein? 240 calories? Okay, then just find something to eat that's 240 calories. It doesn't have to be just protein. I don't care what the carb content is or the fat content. Just find something you feel like eating for 240 calories and plan better tomorrow. I think we get really, really religious about like making sure our macros are perfect, and then when we get to a day where we just like didn't plan accordingly and we end up with like 15 grams of fat left and nothing else, or like 25 grams of protein left and nothing else, we get kind of stressed because like who wants to eat like a stick of butter or like just egg whites? Like that's gross. So I always say, you know, ideally you plan ahead so that you hit your macros pretty much spot on, but if you just have a day where you just didn't plan or something happens and you have like 60 grams of protein left, just eat to like your calorie goal and try not to exceed your calorie goal, and like don't really worry about if your macros are not perfect. That's my personal opinion on the matter, because I don't think it's worth stressing yourself out that badly to hit your macros perfectly when you end up in a situation like this, if that makes sense. And it definitely will not affect your goals if it's just like one day or even a couple days a week. Like it ain't that deep. Will having sugar-free, zero-calorie drinks affect my progress? No, because they ain't got no calories. I'm not saying that they're healthy or good for you, but they're not gonna stop weight loss. Do I track net carbs or all carbs? If you're tracking macros, just track all carbs. Don't worry about net carbs. It's a myth invented by Atkins. Just kidding, it's not like a myth, but I'm not gonna explain the science, it's too complex, look it up, but basically, just track all carbs. Make it easy for yourself. Do I have to weigh my food on a scale, or can I use measuring cups, or can I eyeball portions? The most accurate method of tracking macros is to weigh your food on a scale in grams. Like, there's no argument there. Measuring cups are okay, but they're not that accurate. The serving size on a box may say 1 cup of this product is X amount of calories, but if you actually take 1 cup of that product, it's usually significantly more than the actual serving size. Like, it'll say 1 serving of this is 1 cup or 28 grams. So I'll take a 1 cup serving cup, take a cup of that product, and then put it on the scale, and it'll end up being like 40 grams, which if you're eating like 15% more food in all of the things that you're measuring all day, you're going to eat 15% more calories than you thought you were eating. So you may have a goal of eating 1,500 calories and you're using measuring cups and measuring spoons for everything, but you might be getting more food than you think you are due to the inaccuracy of measuring cups. So if you may think you're getting 1,500 calories, but you're actually getting like 1,725 or something like that, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but that's 225 calories extra a day, which means if you're doing that for 7 days, that's over 1,500 extra calories per week. And usually people are only in like a 3,500 calorie deficit trying to lose weight. So that wipes out like over a third of your deficit. So instead of losing a pound a week, you're losing less than 2/3 a pound a week. So it makes a difference. But some people hate the scale, and I get that. So don't use a scale. Some people hate measuring spoons and measuring things, so they just eyeball portions. If that's what you gotta do, then that's what you gotta do. It's not gonna be as accurate, but it's still gonna be better than like not tracking at all and not being accountable to your food in any way. So, you know, if you wanna eyeball, then eyeball. If you want a measuring spoon situation, then do that. The most accurate is gonna always be weighing on a scale, but yeah. So that's gonna wrap this video up. I just wanted to get through all of this and share all of my knowledge of questions that I get asked all the time by clients. So hopefully this was helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next vlog.